Making news today, the sun is rising on what could be the hottest day ever in the UK. Britain is braced for unprecedented heat with temperatures above 40 degrees possible, posing a danger to life. There's a warning to stay indoors, not to travel and to work from home because the country is in a heat emergency.
I'm choosing to stay at home because I don't want to get public transport.
But the office has been closed to prevent people from travelling in light of the likely travel disruption.
As millions of us prepare for what could be the highest temperatures ever recorded here in the UK. A red alert for extreme heat is now in place. For the next 2 days, parts of England could hit 41 degrees Celsius. That would be a brand new record. And this heat wave is being treated as a national emergency. Health officials are urging people to take extra care today, and those warnings of significant disruption go for the roads and also the railways.
And it's not just the UK temperature record that's likely to topple today and tomorrow. We're also looking at the individual records for Scotland, England and Wales, all being broken. And if anything, tomorrow looks like it's going to be a bit hotter than today.
Leading the news this Monday morning, the UK's first red extreme heat warning has come into force, with temperatures predicted to hit 40 degrees Celsius today or tomorrow and break the record for the UK's hottest ever day. This is the scene, as you can see now, as it stands across West London. From West London, sunrise at 4 minutes past 5, so in just a couple of minutes' time. The temperature will steadily creep up during the day until it becomes dangerous. A level 4 heat health emergency has been declared, meaning even fit and healthy people are in danger from the extreme heat. So an amber warning already covers much of England, all of Wales and southern Scotland. A red warning for extreme heat is now in force for an area starting south of London and stretching as far north as Greater Manchester and York. Some trains have been cancelled as temperatures soar, with Network Rail saying in serious cases railway tracks could buckle in the extreme heat and therefore speed restrictions would be in place. The Department for Education is not telling schools to close, but some schools will allow children to leave early or wear PE kit so that they feel more comfortable. And the government is advising people to work from home. Back to our live picture there, you see the sun clearly rising over West London this Monday morning. 5:04 was sunrise as Britain faces what could be the hottest temperature on record. An amber warning already covers much of England, all of Wales and southern Scotland. To remind you, a red warning for extreme heat is now in force. There you go. We're going to show this regularly, aren't we, throughout the morning, how the sun is rising in London there. This is the picture from West London. Okay, let's have a look at the front pages. One story, the clear lead for many. The Metro has the splash meltdown Monday, with temperatures forecast to reach 40 degrees Celsius in the next couple of days. The Guardian quotes a description of the heat I was telling you from one health boss, calling it ferocious. The Telegraph's headline, heatwave meltdown brings UK to a halt. I suppose the aptly named Sun says it's going to get hotter than the Sahara. The Star goes for a touch of comedy with a picture of a man enjoying the heat or perhaps exhausted by it.
Good morning, welcome to Breakfast from BBC News with me, John Kay, live in Cambridge, and Nina Warhurst in the studio, as millions of us prepare for what could be the highest temperatures ever recorded here in the UK. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Cambridge, where the sun is rising, the skies are already blue, and on the face of it, a beautiful summer's morning. But don't be fooled, because over the course of the next few hours and over the next couple of days, we could see temperatures in the UK, the likes of which we have never, ever seen before. We're in Cambridge this morning because 3 years ago, that's when the current UK temperature record was set. Back then, it was 38.7 degrees Celsius. Today, it could get up to 40 Celsius. So we're not just talking a little bit higher, we're talking about smashing records potentially, maybe even 41. That's well over 100 Fahrenheit. On an individual basis, that's going to cause us all kinds of problems with the way that we live our lives over the next couple of days. But as a country as well, how are we going to deal with this? How is our infrastructure going to cope? What about schools and businesses, farming, and of course, the National Health Service, our roads network, our railway network?
The message for those in areas where a red warning is in place is that it can't be business as usual. The weather heading this way from southern Europe is so hot that people should think about changing their routines and plans.
So I promised you Carol. We need Carol this morning more than ever before, possibly, because Carol's been looking at the latest data from the Met Office and trying to work out exactly where is going to be worst affected and what we need to know. And Carol joins us this morning. She's also in the red zone. She's on Primrose Hill in London for us this morning. Hiya, Carol. Should we talk to start with about what this red zone, and there's an amber zone in other places. What do these different alerts, what do they actually mean? What do we need to be aware of?
Well, first of all, John, the red one is the most severe one. It's unprecedented. The red alert has never, the red warning's never ever been issued by the Met Office before. So that shows you, first of all, the seriousness of this. It's something to really consider. It covers a large area as well. It covers a large part of England, and it's valid today and also tomorrow. And it means basically take care, be aware. There's threat to life, for example. And also the amber warning, which runs in tandem with this, that covers all of England and Wales, southern and parts of eastern Scotland as well. That's very similar. It's not as severe as the red, but it still means take this warning very seriously. And as you mentioned, it will have impacts on health, it will have impacts on infrastructure. So for example, with health, if you are vulnerable, you know somebody that's vulnerable, do watch out for them. Drink plenty of water, wear hats, stay in the shade as much as you can, especially between the hours of 11 and 3 when the UV rays are at their strongest. If you have to be out, walk in the shade, carry an umbrella, wear a hat, all the things you would expect to do. Keep hydrated is so important. Don't leave people or animals locked up in parked cars, because obviously that could be fatal as well. For the infrastructure, you mentioned railways. You find when you have this kind of heat, and we've never had this kind of heat before, bear in mind, that rail tracks will swell. Rail lines have to, trains travel much more slowly on them, so that will have an impact on timetables and things like that. So there's a lot that is riding on these warnings that the Met Office has out, the red and also the amber ones.
And Carol, we're going to hear from some of our correspondents elsewhere in Europe later in the programme, because it seems like this heat is coming from southern Europe. That's what's coming up our way.
That's right. It's actually coming from North Africa, John. So it's encompassing southern Europe as well. And you'll have seen in the news recently all the pictures of the wildfires. There's been extreme heat in Spain, in Portugal and in France. And now our wind direction's coming up from the south. So it's pulling up this heat in doing so. So our temperatures are going to rocket through the course of today. Now, it's not just today. Today we could see 40 degrees, for example, somewhere in East Anglia, around the Midlands and also the London area. But tonight, because this heat is going to be in place, the temperatures aren't going to fall away too much. So that means that tonight it's going to be hot, and that too can be dangerous because there's no respite for your body to cool down. So tomorrow we start off with higher temperatures, and then this heat continues to travel further northwards. So the temperatures tomorrow as a result could also be higher, particularly around the East Midlands, East Anglia, Eastern England, the Vale of York, that kind of area.
Now, Carol, talking there about how uncomfortable it's going to be at night. If you're in a house or a flat, that's one thing. Imagine if you're spending tonight in a tent. Imagine if you've already spent the weekend in a tent. Lots of people enjoying camping for the summer holidays. And Fee Lambden is out and about on a campsite on Exmoor in Devon for us this morning and can tell us how they're coping there. Morning, Fee. Are they happy campers?
Well, John, they're still asleep, so they must be pretty happy. The campers behind me, yes, we're in the heart of Exmoor. They are still asleep because the sun has not come up and hit their tent yet. Once it does, I'm sure they will be up and about. And when they do get up and they're very hot, well, they can have a swim. There's a river running through the campsite behind those bushes, the River Exe, so they've got somewhere to cool off.
And Ben's been reflecting on this morning because Ben's in Suffolk for this morning talking to farmers. And they're already really struggling with very dry conditions, aren't they? Morning, Ben.
Morning to you, John. Yeah, they really are. It's proving to be a tough year so far for farmers, not just here in East Anglia, but right across the country. I just briefly want to pick up on the point you made about your journey, because anyone who's travelling today, whether by rail or by road, is going to face quite a bit of disruption. Network Rail is advising people not to travel by train unless it's absolutely necessary. There are cancellations and speed restrictions in force on many lines. On the roads, the RAC advice is make your journeys, if you have to make them, outside the hottest parts of the day, especially if you've got an older car. And if you are driving, keep an eye on the engine temperature, just to be on the safe side as well. We know that councils across England have got gritters on standby. Yes, gritters. They're ready to spread sand, not salt, and that's to try and stop the tarmac from melting. So that's the travel advice. But yes, as you say, John, I'm here at Euston Farm in Suffolk, and this region is vitally important when it comes to agriculture. It produces £3 billion. East Anglia produces £3 billion worth of crops and livestock every single year. To do that, water is absolutely vital. And if you look at the reservoir behind me, you can see they are already grappling with a shortage of that. And now, of course, comes the heat wave. But the reason the reservoir level is so low is because in East Anglia, they've had just 2/3 of the normal amount of rainfall in the first half of the year, just 185 millimetres. You can see the effect of that here on the grass. Look at that. Look how dry and parched it all is. The driest January to June since 1996. They produce a lot of things here. Take a look at that field over there. That is wheat, and they also produce potatoes here. The potatoes, every kilo of potatoes needs 11 litres of water. That is just one example of how much the extreme weather conditions are causing problems for farms like this one.
Here in Cambridge, 3 years ago, they set the current record for the hottest temperature ever recorded in the UK. That was 38.7 degrees. It might be Cambridge this time that beats it. Certainly it's going to be up around that point, but they're saying that right up into the East Midlands and into South Yorkshire, even as far as Manchester, places that don't normally get into the heat zones when we have these kind of extreme summer weather events, are going to be affected over the next couple of days. So do take care, Cambridge or wherever you're watching this morning, and whatever you're doing. We've had some advice from a doctor for the first time ever on the programme this morning. I heard from a doctor who said, don't exercise, bracket for 1 day only or 2 days only. But don't go out running, don't go cycling in this. It's going to be far too hot. I'm going to enjoy that and embrace that excuse while we've got it.
Let's just come and show you this lovely stream. Children have been paddling here all morning, all weekend. Obviously stay safe if you're in the water, but look, let me just end with this gorgeous shot, this lovely cool water. Yeah, I think that's going to be full of paddlers today.
I think it will, but stay safe in that water. Absolutely, Fee, that's great. That's a BBC exclusive for you this morning. We found the only person in the country who was a bit cold last night and needed an extra layer. Fee Lambden tracks them down, as ever. Lovely to hear Nigel's advice, who'd come here from Australia and had to buy actual summer wear, not expecting it. Quite a lot of breakfast viewers this morning who've lived abroad in extreme heat around the world, sharing tips with us this morning. Mike's been in touch. Morning, Mike. He lives in Buckinghamshire now, used to live in Africa, and said that he would put a 2-litre plastic bottle, put it in the freezer for a bit, freeze it overnight, wrap it up so it doesn't melt too quickly during the day. And Lindy's got some advice on that as well. She says put a damp towel in the freezer for a little while and then take it out periodically during the day. Put it on your dog if you need it. She says, why not put it round your own shoulders as well? Lindy, excellent advice. Thank you very much indeed. You see the punters are out on the River Cam here at the Granter moorings. How idyllic is that? Well, idyllic for the people who are sitting there under their parasols enjoying the nice journey and letting life gently go by. Maybe not quite so idyllic for poor Ben, who's got the punt stick or whatever it's called in his hand, and he's been going up and down on the river for several hours already this morning, doing a fantastic job for us in his boater hat. Looks absolutely the part. He's doing lovely work. Well done, Ben. Well done. Away from Ben. Good stuff.
Thank you, Carol. Let's head across London and have a look at how it's looking by the river this morning. It is a beautiful morning in London. The sun is shining. It's brightening up. The clouds are clearing. If you are in London this morning, it's already heading above 25 degrees. So do take care out there. The advice is to stay home, work from home. Kit Malthouse was telling us earlier, if you can, stay indoors, particularly towards the middle of the day. Water, factor 50, staying in shade where you can. Let's get the news, the travel and the all-important weather wherever you're watching this morning.
Look, I'm in a beer garden in the sunshine and I'm drinking water. It is true, we are doing what we are saying you should be doing today. Thank you for joining us here on Breakfast this morning. An historic day. Stay cool, stay safe. From Cambridge this morning, that's it from Breakfast. Have a good day. Look after yourselves.
John is warm in Cambridge. It's what, almost 9:15?
Yeah.
And it's getting very hot in Manchester.